One of the questions that a lot of folks are asking me in Charts and Coffee and in the rooms is, what does a bottom look like, Rog? And it pertains to the NASDAQ. Now, I'll tell you, the NASDAQ has some major earnings coming up. So the NAS may not be the best one to look at for this until Apple, Amazon, Microsoft, Meta, Intel, all these earnings are out of the way. So let's get some of these major earnings out of the way and talk about where it might be a good idea to ask, are we bottoming in the S&P? Now remember, the S&P differs from the NAS in two huge ways. One, financials, and two, healthcare. Financials and healthcare, when you take a look at the sector performance for month to date, you'll notice that both of those are above the zero line. And if you've never looked at sector performance, this is just a really easy way to do it. This is the month-to-date sector performance. And here, anything above zero, right? What do you have above zero for the most part? Here's your XLF. By the way, that's the heaviest weighted sector in the Dow. And here's your XLV. And that's where the S&P can disconnect from the Magnificent Seven, from the NASDAQ. So it's probably, and with some of the healthcare earnings out of the way, Lilly is still to come on August 8th, but financials are out of the way. And that's a lot of the reason why the Dow is able to accelerate, because the financial sector finally broke out of the range it was stuck in. So let's talk about what does a bottom look like on the ES. And I'm going to talk about a pattern, a price pattern that I've been using for many decades now. And it's an old school pattern, and it's called a minor low. And it's a price pattern. It's not a chart pattern. Rog, what's the difference? I'm not looking for a shape on the price chart. I'm looking for candles, usually 4 or less. And we're looking at open, high, low, close. So it's far more objective, because open, high, low, close just is. I'm not looking for a shape or a, something based on what could be kind of subjective in terms of trend lines and so forth. So in this case, the way this is going to look is we punch down to a lower low right here on this candle. And you can see there's a little, I know it's kind of small, but you can see a little green arrow here right there. And that tells me that the minor low formed. And a minor low is simply a lower low that's surrounded by two higher lows. Surrounded by two higher lows, okay? And then that minor low pattern is formed. So we want to keep an eye on that low, which is 54.32.5. This is the ES September futures contract. As long as we stay above 54.32.5, this pattern is intact, and that minor low can tell us if we're shifting to possibly having to reset the pattern and look for a new one. Today's low here on Tuesday, the day in front of the FOMC, was 54.38, so the pattern is intact. The next part of it is, can we exceed the high of 55.33.25? 55.33.25. And we did that on the 29th. So the minor low pattern, while there wasn't a lot of momentum through that, it has been confirmed. Now the key is going to be accelerating through that high, and specifically 55.33.25, without breaking down below 54.32.5. And as long as we stay in this range, then there's a chance that there is a bottoming process happening. Now, mind you, I am saying this ahead of all the major data we still have to come this week. FOMC is tomorrow at 2 p.m. with the press conference at 2:30. The quarter point cut in September is fully priced in. So it's really the rate statement, opening the door to the September cuts, and Powell's press conference confirming now that the cutting cycle will begin as of September and is expected to go clear into June of next year. We need confirmation of that. There's also all the earnings to get through and non-farm payroll on Friday. So with all those things still to come, this is what we're looking at on the S&P, with financial strength and healthcare strength, letting the S&P behave a little bit more in a supported way compared to the NASDAQ. So the question is not just is there a bottom, but where should we even think about looking? Now, I will tell you, I'm talking about this not because, frankly, it's top of mind, because spending too much time on the ES, and I've got to end it with this part of the conversation, spending too much time on the ES bottom, and that's how we would do it, by the way, and that's for any symbol where I'm looking to see whether or not the selling is showing signs of a pause. Pauses precede, ultimately, the continuation, in this case, to the upside that I'm looking for. But if I'm looking at the Dow, and if I'm looking at the Russell, I'm looking at the two best indices right now. So please remember, it's great to get curious. It never hurts to be aware, but don't let that curiosity become an opportunity cost and prevent you from looking at strength in financials and in healthcare and in the regional banks, and those mapped to the Dow and the Russell. So that's what I'm looking at on the ES, but let's keep in mind the Dow and the Russell are the outperformers in July as the first month of Q3 is completing. Hey traders, Raghee from Simpler Trading. Thank you so much for watching this video. Be sure to leave a like and a comment below. And remember, subscribe and click the bell icon so you'll get notified of the next update. And when you're ready to join me for live trading, be sure to head on over to simplertrading.com. I'll see you in the next update.